Al Quoz sprint. He has got so much talent, Al Suhail, but is he, Ruby and Angus, a 6 furlong sprinter?
We're going to find out in a few minutes. He definitely has the pace, but Angus, you think he should be dropped in and ridden from off it and drawn in stall 2? Can William Buick do that?
It's a big negative for him, isn't it? Drawn in 2. I think it's a slight negative coming back to 6 furlongs as well. He's been sensational here at the Carnival this year. 2 7 furlong wins in lightning fast time. His final 400 metres on both occasions, the fastest 400 metres that any horse fired at the Carnival this year. He's got tons and tons of speed, but you need to harness it. He needs to be dropped in, given a chance, and then brought with a challenge. He's improved no end since they decided to hold him up. So I just don't know what William Buick's going to do, whether he's going to try and slide across towards the middle of the track, towards this stand side from 2, or whether they'll just let him bowl along. It's a tactical dilemma for Godolphin, but for me, he's a Group 1 horse.
We just saw in that aerial shot, you look at the stalls now, Ruby, the runners of the stalls are over on the far side of the course. Everyone expects, as the way races have run on the straight course here, that high numbers being drawn on the stand side numbers, the horses are going to congregate over to the stand side rail. What is going to happen tactically in this Al Quoz sprint?
It's hard to know. Look, I mean, obviously the two that probably will determine how far across they come are Mikias and Sight Success. They're in draws 16. Mikias is on the card to be drawn. I'm assuming that's the outside stall, and Sight Success in 13. So what Ryan Moore and Oscar Chavez do, I think they'll be the two that will be most forward of the high numbers. But then you have Watson 6, the astrologist, Damien Lane. If he doesn't decide to come right, if he decides I'm coming straight and straight is the shortest way, well, he's going to keep Happy Romance and Al Suhail on the far side. So it's probably not, if William Buick goes back, it's not really in his hands which side of the track he's going to end up on.
I think this is fascinating. It
really is.
This could be quite messy, because where will they go? Will they go in 3 groups? Will they go in 2 groups? Will they all come over on the stand side?
I think they'll gradually edge across. We've seen that when the track's been at its widest width through the Carnival, or just a few metres in, they've gradually edged their way across. But it has been horses that have raced closest to the stands rail who've prevailed all Carnival racing.
Who's going to win?
Well, I think Al Suhail's the best horse in the race, but he's got a lot against him. I'm with Sight Success from his high draw in 13 for Ryan Moore.
Sight Success, no bend, will he stay?
Yeah, I think he'll be all right under Ryan. The track record 107.61. Keep an eye on that. It was Wildman Jack who set that a few years ago.
I'm with Ladies Church.
Ladies Church, okay. Aldassim, the 3-year-old, how will he go in what is his deepest test of his young career so far in the Al Quoz sprint, about to unfold under the gaze of Larry Colmus.
All in line. They're off in the Al Quoz sprint, sponsored by Azizi Developments. It was a good start for Aldassim in between horses, who goes right out and now will sit back right off the leaders as Mikias will set the pace. Mikias to the front as the field races out of this long 6 furlong chute. Mikias on top, a length and a half. The astrologist on the inside is right there in early contention as they race down that chute. So these two are 1-2, and on the extreme outside is Flaming Rib, who's close up to the pace as well. So Mikias the leader with about 3 furlongs to go here, on top by about a length and a half here. Mikias from the astrologist. Happy Romance is down on the inside. Al Suhail is right there too, and farther out and moving up is Duke Y from Hong Kong. It is still wide open here. Al Suhail, Happy Romance, the astrologist from Australia. Duke Y on the outside. They're coming down toward the final 16th. It's Al Suhail with a slight lead. Duke Y on the outside. The astrologist flashing home outside of them. They're coming down to the finish, and it is going to be a photo finish, and it was very close on the wire. I think Danya ended up getting there in the last strides to win the Al Quoz sprint.
A shock in the Al Quoz sprint. Danya for local trainer Musaba Al-Mahiri and Dane O'Neill have taken the prize. My goodness, the race had a few different scenarios played out in that final furlong and a half, but it is Danya in the colours of Shadwell who has come home under Dane O'Neill to take it. The astrologist always there in the closing stages. Danya wins. Al Suhail came cruising on the bridle, was just run out of it. and sight success down this near side ahead of Duke Y back in fourth. An extraordinary sprint.
It was compelling to watch. Al Suhail, as you said, Angus, he would travel like the best horse. He did travel like the best horse, but he probably travelled into the race too early, even for a 7-furlong horse, the way he travelled. But Dania has kept that out really strongly for Dane O'Neill. He's flat to the boards here in the Shadwell colours with a stripy cap. William Buick, it looks there as how far is he going to win, but Al Suhail doesn't keep going. And for a horse who's won over 7, you're kind of thinking, why?
You think so, wouldn't you? I mean, he's a Group 1 horse, but he doesn't realise it. That's the problem. And he does, and he has in the past curled up a bit under pressure, and he's been labelled as quirky in the past as well. But he had every chance here. They dropped him out their own impatiently. He's still on the bridle here. Everything else is now being needled along. He's the last off it. He's got Dania beaten to his inside, but he just doesn't find as much as that horse. And ultimately, I think he's placed, but in the last 100 yards, he didn't look like winning. 1:08.61 is your time, so we are exactly a second outside the track record.
Ruby, looking at the 3-year-old Al Dassim, he just wasn't quite up to it today, but a lot of the race developed towards the centre of the track, really.
It did, and we thought maybe they would keep coming to the stand side, but they didn't, and that was basically Oscar Chavez who decided that on Mikyas. He was rode from 16, but he decided to come straight. Ryan Moore on Sweet Success, or Sight Success even, got to the other side of Oscar, but they didn't, and that suited the horses who were drawn low. Happy Romance was able to get involved. Al Suhail, Dania was installed 5. We thought it would go against the low numbers, but it suited them.
Well, if anybody remembers Jim Bolger's pedigrees, they'll know that this horse comes from a Jim Bolger mare, Kushkora, who was a very high-class horse back in Ireland back in the day. She was actually sort of a miler and stayed a little bit further. This horse has got a bit further, and as Ruby and Angus pointed out, when things were getting tough in the closing stages, and Al Suhail was still travelling, Dane O'Neill was pushing away, but boy, oh boy, did Dania respond, and he dug in and found that little bit of stamina that has managed to put his head in front in the closing stages. Angus also mentioned what a good domestic season that Musaba Al Mahiri has had, but all of that pales in comparison to a big winner on World Cup night, and that's what they've got.
Yeah, 2 local winners now at the meeting. Doug Watson earlier on with Isolate, now Musaba Al Mahiri. They've been 2 of the mainstays here in Dubai, along with Bupat Simar. They've done very well on the domestic scene and indeed at the carnival, even when Godolphin came calling for the bigger prizes. This horse down in trip, it really seemed to suit him, and he's got a good attitude.
Happy Romance on this near side, she came to challenge, but I thought she's run really well, despite the fact that she's backed out of it late on, because she was drawn in 1 and on that wing all the way.
Yeah, she was, and she had to run a big race from 1. You can see her, she's in the left in the navy colours, but it is just amazing that the low numbers, Al Suhail from 2 and the winner from 5, 6 outside him.
All right, let's join Nick.
This horse means so much to you, I know that. You've ridden him all the way through, but to gain success, there you go, and the winning trainer as well, in the Al Quoz day, just summing that up.
No, it's fantastic, it's brilliant. It was, you know, stepping back down in trip, it was a big performance, and you got to stay here to win, but I thought he was just so tough, and, you know, he was just so resolute about it. He wasn't going to get beat, was he?
Absolutely not. As they went all the way across the finish, how had the race played out for you as it went through?
Very smoothly. I think the biggest help was when I seen Rashid Borsley's horse come across to the middle. I was worried he was going to take the race right under the fence away from us, and we were going to be left on a wing. And I got a great draft into the race from the eventual second, and you know, they queued up to beat me, didn't they? And I thought they were going to swamp him, and he just kept digging and finding, and now it's a dream come true.
I know how much Al Fareeq's back-to-back in the Jebel Hatter meant to you, but here you go with this winning trainer, with Sheikha Hissa here to watch in these colours. Is this what it's all about in this role, Dave?
Yeah, of course it is. Delighted for her. It's fantastic that she's here to see the fruits of the fruits of her sort of labour and her passion for racing, and yeah, fantastic to be able to give it a little bit back.
Delighted for you, Dave. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's worth mentioning Dane O'Neill. He has ridden in these colours for such a long time. Loyalty seen at its finest.
And loyalty should pay, and it's paid this evening.
It has paid indeed for Dane O'Neill. Sheikha Hissa, Musab Al Mahiri, absolutely over the moon with this winner. Dane O'Neill, who said he's ridden primarily for the Shadwell team here through the season. Obviously Jim Crowley will be here riding Mostadaf later on in the Dubai Shima Classic. but they've stuck loyal to Dane O'Neill domestically through the season. No need for Jim Crowley to travel over for the season. And on the big night, the local trainers have stuck with Dane O'Neill, and as Ruby says, that loyalty has been rewarded, Angus.
He's been a tremendous jockey for the organisation, for Shadwell, hasn't he, over the years. A very loyal jockey. They've been loyal to him as well. And he's a no-nonsense jockey as well. He doesn't make many mistakes. The horse is good enough. He normally is. And this horse has got a tremendous reception coming back in. Musabah Al Maheri, very popular local trainer.
The local crowd love a local winner. Musabah Al Maheri gives a kiss to Danya. And we will analyse that performance after the break.